When Tom agreed to look after Uncle Greg's house, he didn't expect anything extraordinary. The old two-story house was located on the outskirts of the village, right at the edge of a pine forest. Uncle Greg had urgent business to attend to, and Tom, a student on vacation, agreed to stay there for a couple of weeks. The internet connection was poor, there were few neighbors, and the house, although old, seemed sturdy and even cozy. Tom had trouble sleeping on his first night there. The house was alive with its own life. The boards sighed, and somewhere in the walls there was a soft tapping, as if someone was carefully testing the strength of the building from the inside. Tom attributed it to the age of the building and the wind. He closed his eyes and was almost asleep when he heard the sound of footsteps. Not creaking or rustling. Real footsteps, slow, heavy, as if someone was dragging their feet along the hallway. Tom sat up in bed and listened. The footsteps stopped at the door of his room. "Uncle?" "Hello?" he called softly, even though he knew the house was empty. There was no response. Then the doorknob twitched slightly. Tom didn't remember how he spent the night. He lay there, not moving, with the table lamp on, until it was light outside. In the morning, everything looked normal. The door was locked, the hallway was empty, and there were no traces. He decided that it had been a dream. On the second day, small details began to appear. Things were not where he had left them. A cup was on the windowsill, even though Tom remembered washing it and putting it in the cupboard. The mirror in the hallway was facing the wall. And in the basement, where he went to get his tools, someone had neatly stacked the old newspapers, which had previously been scattered around the room. The strangest thing was the smell. Occasionally, the house would fill with the scent of damp earth and cold stone, as if the basement were breathing from its depths. On the third night, the footsteps returned. This time, Tom didn't call out. He slowly stood up, picked up his phone, and walked out into the hallway. The darkness was thick, as if the light from the room refused to penetrate. The footsteps were coming from downstairs, from the living room. Tom made his way down the stairs, each step echoing loudly. At the bottom, near an old wardrobe, he saw a silhouette. The figure was human, but it was too tall and too still. The face was hidden in the shadows, and the arms hung limply at the sides. She seemed to be waiting. "Who are you?" Tom asked, surprised that his voice didn't crack. The figure slowly turned its head. Instead of eyes, there was a blankness, like carved shadows. "The House.re members," came the voice. It was like the creaking of wood and a whisper at the same time. Tom stepped back. The floor felt cold beneath his feet, as if the warmth was being drained from it. "You shouldn't be here," the voice continued. "But you can hear." The figure took a step forward. Tom ran. He locked himself in his room, propped the door open with a chair, and sat there all night, clutching his phone. But strangely enough, there was no horror that he had been expecting. Instead, he felt a sense of request. It was as if the house was not trying to harm him, but rather to communicate something. In the morning, Tom called his Uncle Greg. "You didn't tell me anything about the house," he said without preamble. There was a long pause on the other end. "So it's awake?" his uncle finally replied. "I was afraid it would be." It turned out that the house had been built on the site of an old quarry. During the war, people had hidden there, and a cave-in had buried several people alive. The house had been built quickly, without much thought. Over time, strange things had started to happen. The old people said that the house remembered those who had stayed inside. But it's not evil, Uncle said quietly. It just doesn't like being forgotten. That night, Tom didn't hide. He went back down to the living room. The figure appeared almost immediately. "I'm listening," Tom said. The house responded not with words, but with images. Darkness, stone, screams, and then years of loneliness. Tom realized that the house wanted to be recognized. It wanted to be remembered for those who had stayed behind. The next day, Tom went to the village, found the old archives, and talked to the locals. He placed a small memorial sign in the basement, a simple plaque with the names he had managed to learn. He lit a candle. That night, the house was quiet. A few days passed. The footsteps disappeared. The smell of earth faded. The house became just a house again, old and creaky, but warm. Sometimes, Tom felt as if the walls were sighing with relief. When Uncle Greg returned, he looked at the sign in the basement for a long time, and then he hugged Tom tightly. "Thank you," he said. "Now it's possible to live here." Tom left, but sometimes he dreamed about that house. In his dreams, he stood in the sunlight, and the windows glowed with a soft light, as if someone was watching from within, calm and grateful. Tom thought that scary places don't become scary because of malice. They become scary because of loneliness. And if you hear it, the darkness recedes.